Have you ever walked into a room, a building, or even a crowded space and felt an immediate, overwhelming sense of dread that had absolutely no logical explanation? It wasn't just a fleeting thought or a moment of awkwardness. It was a deep, primal shudder, like your entire spiritual being was recoiling and silently screaming, "Evacuate immediately!" This is not the standard human emotion of anxiety or some common paranoia, which the world is quick to diagnose. For those of you who are truly awake, the chosen ones, this is something far more profound. This is the activation of your divine discernment, an internal, sacred alarm system meticulously wired and calibrated by heaven itself, designed specifically to keep your soul protected. The difference between you and the average person is stark. Most individuals can enter the very same environments, feel entirely at ease, and proceed to enjoy themselves, taking pictures, laughing, and blending in seamlessly with the atmosphere. But for you, the experience is completely different. You immediately register a palpable heaviness, a noticeable tension, and the cold reality of the unseen spiritual weight in the air. This profound sensitivity is not a flaw, it is a feature. Your soul operates on an elevated, pure, and higher frequency, meaning it reacts with immediate and powerful rejection when it encounters an atmosphere that is deeply contaminated or spiritually corrupted, even if the contamination is invisible to the naked eye. Often, this feeling of unease is completely illogical. You cannot articulate precisely why you need to leave. You simply know. And in this knowing lies the greatest truth of your spiritual gift. Your spirit possesses the capacity to immediately register and process unseen realities. Spiritual pollution, subtle warfare, territory claimed by silent, negative contracts, or ground that is, for reasons you can't name, cursed. While the rest of the crowd stays, enjoying the surface-level pleasure, you are compelled to make your exit. You were never intended to be a mere participant in the world's chaos. You were chosen and set apart to be a beacon of light, and sometimes that means retreating from darkness. Therefore, this message is dedicated to exploring and revealing 9 specific places that the chosen ones instinctively avoid. This avoidance is not rooted in arrogance or a sense of superiority. It is born from a deep spiritual wisdom, a profound knowing that your spirit will not compromise. Once you assimilate this list, you will finally possess the clarity to understand those strange moments. The sudden, intense nausea you felt in a specific room, the compelling last-minute urge you had to cancel plans and ghost an event, or the reason you walked out of environments that others seemed to adore. Understand this now. Some places are utterly undeserving of your presence. Some rooms lack the capacity to hold your light, and some atmospheres are strategically designed to extinguish your spiritual power and silence your anointing. This video is a spiritual map, a clear guide pointing out the precise locations to steer clear of if your intention is to maintain the vibrancy and life of your soul. Now, before we fully dive into this vital list, I have a single important request. Do one thing for your spirit and for this message. Hit the like button. This message is, by its very nature, an act of spiritual warfare, and it is crucial that it reaches everyone who needs this divine confirmation. If you haven't yet, subscribe now, as more profound revelations like this are forthcoming. Finally, take a moment to comment 99 below if you have ever experienced that profound spiritual disturbance in a place for a reason you couldn't explain logically. Why 99? Because often God gives us 99 gentle but firm warnings before the final, 100th moment that might break us. Never dismiss your discernment. It is not just a passing feeling. It is the ultimate spiritual protection. Let us now begin this revelation. We begin with the first vital location, places dedicated to idolatry and deceptive worship. These environments often possess a polished, beautiful, or even spiritual exterior, giving the illusion of holiness. They may be rooms filled with flickering candles, echoing with rhythmic chants, utilizing complex rituals, or even vast stadiums pulsing with intense shared energy. To the world, these places feel incredibly powerful, almost transcendent. But to the chosen one, the feeling is immediately, profoundly wrong. The truth is, the sacredness of a location is not determined by its appearance or the fervor of its participants, but by the true spirit that governs it. The chosen soul possesses an inherent spiritual allergy to counterfeit authority. They can instantly discern when a space elevates mere image over fundamental truth, ego over true essence, or the adoration of man over the worship of God. It is irrelevant whether the location is formally a church, a temple, a specialized self-help retreat, or the stage of a megastar concert. If anything other than the divine is enthroned as the ultimate authority, the chosen one's spirit will not, and cannot, settle. They do not require someone to loudly expose a blasphemy. Their quiet discernment is an internal whisper that is far louder and more authoritative than any public sermon. They see beyond the show to the actual service, perceiving the hidden manipulation behind the uplifting message, and the performance that is masking as true praise. Remember, idols are not always physical golden statues. Often they take the form of highly influential individuals, charismatic but misguided leaders, or complex ideologies masquerading as enlightenment or spiritual progress. The moment a chosen one enters such an atmosphere, they immediately register a deep misalignment, a disruption not just of religious doctrine, but of divine order itself. The moment something aggressively attempts to steal the glory that rightfully belongs to God, the spiritual atmosphere undergoes a dramatic and unsettling change. The air becomes noticeably dense and heavy, and the spirit of the chosen one contracts and tightens its defenses. They are not there to argue, to challenge, or to create a scene. They simply and quietly leave. They exit even while the crowds are applauding wildly, even when the collective energy insists. This feels so incredible. The chosen one understands a profound, essential truth. Not everything that feels good is inherently holy. When a place actively transforms itself into a throne room for lies, the presence of truth cannot linger for long. Yet here is a deeper, more profound warning that most people will never see coming. Some of the most dangerous and corrupt altars are the ones constructed not in a physical place, but within the confines of your own mind. We will revisit this critical point soon. First, there is another location your spirit instinctively refuses to inhabit, and it is far more common than you realize. Stick with me. The spiritual intensity is about to amplify significantly. The second place the chosen one avoids is the common gathering spot of clubs, parties, and all environments defined by excess. Let us be explicitly clear. This avoidance does not stem from an inability to enjoy life or have fun. It is rooted in the essential understanding that the chosen one's definition of joy does not necessitate spiritually suffocating their inner light. While the vast majority of the world actively chases after external noise and distraction, the chosen soul is consistently drawn to the profound strength found in stillness and quietude. While others are busy attempting to drown their deepest truths in blinding lights, intoxicating substances, and intensely loud, rhythmic beats, the soul of the chosen one consistently and powerfully yearns for genuine reality. Clubs, wild parties, and environments of chaos are not seen as a break from reality by the chosen one, but rather as a catastrophic breach in their essential spiritual firewall. It is a spiritual fact that every sound carries a frequency, and every large crowd generates a distinct vibration. When an atmosphere becomes thoroughly saturated in lust, unchecked ego, profound intoxication, and emotional disarray, the chosen one's entire spiritual being instinctively revolts. They are fully capable of having fun, but they are also deeply attuned to a truth that virtually no one else wishes to acknowledge. Most people present in these environments are not truly celebrating life. They are desperately escaping. They are fleeing the quiet emptiness within them, evading the demanding call of their life's purpose, and running away from the stark reality of who they truly are. Chosen ones find themselves profoundly unable to fit into rooms where the fundamental goal is to forget, because they were born with an inherent mission to remember, to remain constantly aware, and to stay spiritually awake. What others label as freedom in these environments, the chosen one perceives as friction. This is because their unique, powerful energy does not expand or flourish in these places. It quickly diminishes. Their spiritual gifts become muted. Their hard-won inner peace starts to fade and go missing, and their soul begins an insistent, quiet whisper, "You do not belong in this place." They might enter once, perhaps out of social obligation, politeness, or a desire to merely observe. However, the moment the environment's atmosphere begins to spin out of control, the precise instant the thin mask of fun drops, and the destructive spirit of excess takes full command, they feel the spiritual shift profoundly and exit immediately, silently, swiftly, and completely. True, lasting power does not scream over a loud electronic beat. It speaks with profound authority in the quiet stillness. And the chosen know this. If you feel compelled to lose yourself in order to genuinely feel alive, you are likely never truly living to begin with. Yet if you believe this is intense, wait until you witness what happens when a chosen one steps into a space that appears utterly harmless on the surface, but secretly conceals deep-rooted generational darkness. We are about to venture into depths that few people ever dare to fully admit. Stay with me. Third on our list are workplaces that actively crush the soul. It is a harsh truth that not every prison is constructed with steel bars. Some are cleverly disguised with ergonomic desks, prestigious titles, and convenient direct deposit payrolls. To the casual, external observer, such a place is lauded as a great opportunity for success. To the deeply intuitive chosen one, however, it is a sophisticated spiritual trap cunningly disguised as career success. The moment the professional environment begins to subtly corrode your inner character, when your true self must diminish and shrink merely to clock in every day, that substantial paycheck fundamentally transforms into spiritual poison. The chosen ones possess the innate ability to sense this deep corruption very early on. This awareness comes long before the professional burnout sets in, well before the full emotional breakdown, and certainly before the overwhelming 3:00 a.m. chest-pounding question of, why am I still here? They notice the critical, subtle shifts. They recognize the precise moment they're natural. Authentic laughter starts to fade into forced smiles. The way their boundless creativity begins to dim under restrictive policies, and the slow, insidious process of betraying their core values purely for the sake of conforming to team culture. They hear the thinly veiled, passive-aggressive tone buried beneath the friendly "we're a family" company-wide emails. They see through the insincere loyalty speeches to the core manipulation beneath. They observe leaders publicly espousing integrity while privately and habitually rewarding betrayal, fostering gossip, and demanding total control. And in those moments, something deep and authoritative within them whispers, "This is an environment where your sacred purpose cannot possibly grow." Chosen ones don't simply quit a job. They are executing a strategic escape from a spiritual contract. This is because some workplaces do not simply drain your physical energy. They are ruthlessly designed to steal your identity. They desire your talent and your gift, but they have zero tolerance for your truth. They demand your labor and your output, but they actively reject your spiritual light. And they are masters at dressing up deep dysfunction and toxic behavior as laudable ambition, solely to keep you spiritually numb and compliant. But here is the profound distinction that sets a chosen one apart. They would, without hesitation, rather endure a period of struggle, while in complete divine alignment, than to experience superficial success built upon spiritual compromise. Even when their closest friends fail to grasp their decision, even when their family members label them irresponsible, even when their own mind is gripped by the paralyzing fear that they will regret this, they walk away. They know with unwavering certainty that no amount of salary or prestige is worth the absolute cost of their immortal soul. And what is the divine result of this courageous action? Provision consistently appears in the perceived wilderness. Doors swing open in locations where only solid walls once stood, because heaven always ensures the funding for what it has personally assigned. But I must ask you a deeper question. What if your most spiritually cursed assignment isn't your physical job, but the very social space you constantly return to, often only out of misguided politeness? Because the next place on this list is a location where profound evil actively hides in the most common, visible light. Most people wander straight into it without ever realizing the spiritual danger, until it is already far too late. Keep watching. Have you ever stepped across the threshold of a person's home and instantly felt a crushing spiritual weight, a profound suffocation? It wasn't the result of a visible argument or physical mess. It was a presence. This presence was thick, utterly invisible yet inescapable, like the very walls of the structure were actively watching you, as if the air itself was powerfully rejecting your peace and light. Chosen ones register this exact sensation every single time. This is because when they enter a private space, they do not just see the arrangement of the furniture. They are reading and interpreting the energetic frequency of the place. And some homes tragically carry heavy residue. This is not simple dust or dirt. This is concentrated residue of trauma, deep-seated bitterness, the remnants of spiritual practices and secrets that have been soaked into the carpets, with ancient curses hanging in the corners like forgotten spiritual cobwebs. You must understand that intense emotions do not simply evaporate. Pain generates echoes. Darkness possesses the ability to linger. And when unhealed souls have occupied a space for a significant period, that negative energy fundamentally becomes the invisible furniture that nobody ever discusses. The chosen one walks in and instantly knows with absolute certainty something terrible happened here. They feel the echoes of arguments that were never genuinely resolved, betrayals that continue to whisper their malice, and dark spirits that were given an open welcome but never actually left. Even if the host is performing the role of hospitality, smiling broadly, offering a meal, or demonstrating kindness, the chosen one's soul is internally screaming, "Get out of this place." This is because true divine peace operates on a measurable frequency, and this particular home is actively tuned to the vibration of torment. The seating may be comfortable, the ambient lighting may be soft and inviting, but the underlying atmosphere is profoundly haunted. This haunting is not always by the traditional specters or ghosts, but by silent, unseen agreements made in secret, by generations of unresolved emotional wounds, and by spiritual portals unknowingly opened through toxic behaviors and rituals that no one has the courage to discuss. Chosen ones do not engage in debate. They do not offer explanations. They do not wait around for objective evidence. They simply exit, and when they are later questioned about their abrupt departure, their answer is always the same. "I simply can't explain it. I just did not feel right while I was there." They intuitively grasp a truth the world has long forgotten. A home is not just where a person lives their life. It is a spiritual domain where specific spirits actively dwell. And some of those spirits do not desire your blessing. Their primary objective is to keep you perpetually bound. But here is where the warning becomes even more dangerous. What if the next seemingly harmless place you must avoid has nothing at all to do with physical buildings and everything to do with the realm of the dead? Stay close. The next point may very well provide the explanation for the strange, unsettling dreams you have been experiencing lately. The fifth location is cemeteries and other places that function as death portals. This is not about mere superstition, and it is certainly not a simple fear of the deceased. When a chosen one actively avoids cemeteries, notoriously haunted locations, or spots profoundly drenched in mourning energy, it is because they are feeling a truth that others consistently ignore. They do not merely visit a graveyard. They are instantly encountering a different realm. This is because the reality of death does not simply result in the burial of bones. It leaves behind powerful spiritual gateways, unsealed doors, and open, festering wounds in the spirit realm that often never truly close. When people congregate to mourn, to bury, or to actively remember the dead, they are often unknowingly turning those locations into magnetic fields for lingering, unclean spirits, confused wandering souls, and the continuation of generational battles that are still actively searching for a living host. The chosen one cannot help but tense up the moment they approach such an area. The atmosphere rapidly turns cold and heavy. The perception of time seems to slow down, and even if every other person present remains completely unreactive, the chosen one instinctively knows that this place is spiritually active and highly charged. This is because the veil, the thin boundary separating the physical and spiritual, is at its most fragile and porous wherever death has asserted its presence. And if you are carrying the undeniable, brilliant weight of divine light, the surrounding darkness immediately registers your presence. They sense you. They watch you. They wait for the smallest, most inadvertent invitation. And if you are not diligently protected, those spirits will not merely follow you home. They will actively pursue you into the vulnerability of your dreams. This is the core reason why chosen ones are exceptionally selective about the environments they frequent, the memorials they attend, and the particular energies they willingly expose their precious spirit to. They hold deep respect for the deceased, yes, but they never forget the critical fact that not every spirit has found its rest in peace. Some spirits are destined to wander, some actively wage spiritual war, and some are relentlessly seeking access to the living. So, when the chosen one experiences that profound, invisible pull, that suffocating weight in their chest, that overwhelming instinctive desire to quickly walk away from a particular gravesite, monument, or supposedly haunted building, they immediately obey that command. They understand that their light is immensely powerful, but it is not intended to be carelessly shown in every single dark corner. Some spiritual places were never meant to be entered. Some specific portals were never meant to be reopened, and some dark energies were absolutely not meant to recognize the potent presence of your light. But if this revelation already feels intense, brace yourself, because the next place chosen ones avoid is not just overwhelming. It is designed to be spiritually paralyzing. And yet, almost everyone in the world walks straight into it, never questioning why they feel so profoundly drained afterward. Keep watching closely. This next one is far more pervasive than you might suspect. Next, we address crowded shopping centers and malls. On the surface, this sounds entirely harmless. It's just a quick errand to the mall, a little casual shopping, some background music, and a large crowd of anonymous strangers moving about. Nothing remotely spiritual about that, right? Absolutely wrong. To the majority, it represents simple convenience and commerce. But for the chosen ones, it is a spiritual ambush, a relentless assault of clashing frequencies. The very instant they pass through those massive glass doors, a profound spiritual shift occurs. Their hard-won inner peace starts to flicker and become unstable. Their thoughts, normally clear, suddenly become cloudy and disorganized. And in that moment, they are surrounded by far more than mere people. They are immersed in pure, chaotic energy. Every single shopper who passes by is carrying a spiritual load, anxiety, unchecked lust, crippling envy, and profound depression. And in highly dense locations like large malls, those spirits do not just idly walk, they actively collide. The EI, chosen one, is not broken down by the sheer physical noise. They are overwhelmed by the spiritual static. They are subjected to a constant jarring bombardment of subconscious programming, aggressive flashing screens, harsh artificial lighting, and temptation strategically placed in every single window. Buy this object to finally feel worthy. Wear this brand to be genuinely desired. Own this possession to finally belong. However, chosen ones are not designed to operate on these manipulative frequencies. They were born with a spiritual mandate to disrupt the illusion, not to be helplessly seduced by it. And so, their physical body reacts instinctively, long before their brain can formulate an explanation. They experience a sudden, jarring headache, a feeling of deep, inexplicable nausea, or a sharp, restrictive tightening in their chest. This is not because they suffer from generalized anxiety. It is because their spirit is actively suffocating under the pressure. They make their escape quickly, silently, and often without buying anything at all. The majority of the world will never understand the urgency of their departure. But the truth is, the chosen one does not require more physical things. What they desperately need is more sacred space, more profound clarity, and more silence where their precious soul can draw a restorative breath. This is why they instinctively gravitate toward quiet, empty streets over suffocating, crowded malls, and prefer late-night deliveries over the trauma of long checkout lines. The deeper their divine calling becomes, the more intensely allergic they become to any atmosphere that is intentionally manipulated and designed for spiritual control. And here is a critical layer of truth that is never openly discussed. Some of those colossal shopping centers are actually constructed with specific spiritual architecture in mind. They are designed to actively dull your powerful discernment and transform your deep God-given hunger for purpose into a trivial, insatiable hunger for possessions. But the chosen one can never truly fit into a system fundamentally designed to spiritually enslave the mind. And the very moment they feel that crushing spiritual bind, they immediately turn and walk away. Yet while shopping centers can overwhelm the spirit, the next place on this list has the capacity to actively poison the soul. The profound danger is that you are often pressured to attend these events out of a misplaced, superficial sense of love. Brace yourself. What comes next shatters the illusion of family and society wide open. The seventh location is the temples dedicated to ego and sheer vanity. A place does not require stained glass windows and stone columns to be considered a temple. Sometimes, it manifests as a lavish, exclusive luxury event, a pristine designer showroom, or a perfectly curated social media feed that has been physically brought to life. While the entire world is mesmerized and blinded by the glitter, the chosen one often finds themselves grieving in a profound silence. This is because they do not just see the sparkle and the sheen, they see the deep, underlying spiritual starvation that it conceals. Any environment where people congregate to worship status, to obsess over fleeting appearances, and to chase external validation as if it were necessary oxygen, is an environment where the chosen one will immediately suffocate. They walk in and instantly register the entire performance, the endless toxic comparison, and the desperate, gnawing hunger to be constantly seen, but never truly known or understood. Laughter echoes throughout the room, but it feels desperately rehearsed. Compliments are exchanged rapidly, but they ring hollow and meaningless. Cameras flash incessantly, but behind every carefully constructed smile is a silent, desperate scream. Please, someone, believe that I am enough. To the common observer, this looks precisely like success and attainment, but to a chosen one, it feels distinctly like a frantic masquerade of profound insecurity. When an environment actively promotes ego as a god, humility is not welcomed, it is treated as an insult. When material wealth is the primary object of worship, wisdom and introspection are actively ignored. And when external image is deemed to be absolutely everything, the spiritual truth gets systematically buried. The chosen one finds themselves unable to remain in these places. They simply do not fit. This is not because they are inherently antisocial or judgmental. It is because authenticity has become the absolute core of their spiritual survival instinct. They crave depth of connection. They hunger for genuine purpose. They yearn for the kind of profound realness that strips the soul completely bare, and yet still offers the powerful affirmation, "You are fundamentally worthy." So, when they step into rooms where every single thing is polished to a blinding shine, but nothing feels authentically pure, they feel like a ghost among carefully dressed mannequins. Eventually, they make their silent exit, even if the room is filled with admirers, even if they are currently the object of praise. They know a deep truth. You cannot pour the living, sustaining water of the Spirit into cups that are already overflowing with the poisonous pursuit of self. But here is the major twist no one ever anticipates. Some of the most destructive ego temples are not external in the world. They are meticulously built within the minds of those who are closest to you. The next location is, paradoxically, the most sacred of all, and yet it is precisely where spiritual betrayal cuts the deepest. You must pay attention to this. The eighth place is family gatherings that feel spiritually cursed. Yes, even within the supposed sanctity of family, and often, especially within it. This is because the bond of blood does not automatically equate to spiritual safety, and not every family gathering is a genuine celebration of love. Sometimes it is a spiritual battleground, cleverly disguised as a holiday dinner or a joyous occasion. Chosen ones enter these rooms and immediately feel the palpable shift in the atmosphere. Smiles are strained and brittle. Hugs feel shallow and empty. Conversations are subtle, but they actively drip with judgment and thinly veiled criticism. But the most significant real attacks are silent, completely invisible, and strategically executed. Gossip is disguised as legitimate concern. Backhanded compliments are carefully camouflaged as innocuous jokes. Old, unhealed wounds resurface and throb without a single direct word ever being spoken. And while everyone else is laughing loudly, clinking glasses and offering toasts, the chosen one's spirit begins to actively burn. This is because they feel the inherited ancestral pain that still actively floats and lingers in the room. They sense the unforgiveness that has been passed down through generations like a toxic heirloom. They feel the unspoken resentments that are passed off as harmless tradition. They perceive the jealousy that actively hides behind every forced, manufactured smile. These family gatherings are not always cursed by a literal spell or ritual, but they are corrupted by pervasive, destructive patterns. Generational patterns of dysfunction that not a single soul has dared to break until you, the chosen one, arrived. And this is precisely why your powerful presence acts as a trigger for them. It is not because you said anything inherently wrong. It is because your peace powerfully exposes their deep chaos. Your quiet authenticity directly confronts their desperate masks. Your dedicated healing threatens the comfortable, established system of their dysfunction. You become the uncomfortable mirror they are desperate to avoid looking into. You are the living proof that spiritual freedom is possible, and the constant reminder that they have collectively chosen spiritual bondage instead. So, yes, the chosen one selectively avoids certain family events, not out of bitterness but purely out of necessary spiritual survival. They have learned a painful yet essential lesson the hard way. Not every table that is set is spiritually sacred. Not every invitation received is genuinely a blessing. And not every relative truly desires to see you.